Welcome back to the deep dive. This was where we really get into some compelling sources, sift through them, and pull out those key insights for you. Today, we're looking at a really powerful message. It's from Living Water Community Church, delivered by their lead pastor, Matt Erdos. And this isn't just like abstract theology. We're talking about real wisdom here, stuff that can genuinely change how we navigate life. The topic, freedom in forgiveness. Super relevant, right? For everyone. So our mission today is pretty clear. Let's pull out some practical, encouraging insights, and importantly, maybe 3 key takeaways that you can actually use starting today.
Exactly. And our sources, it's great, actually. It's a Sunday sermon, and we also have the transcript. So it gives us this unique chance to explore biblical teaching, but in a way that feels really relatable. It really lays out some practical strategies, for handling life's curveballs. Ancient wisdom, but totally applicable now.
Yeah, and what grabbed me right away, what Pastor Erdos really unpacks beautifully, is this central metaphor he uses. It sets the whole tone. It's about freedom, rising above the eagle and the crow.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because it taps into that feeling, like you've got a bullseye on your back sometimes. Doesn't matter if you're a Christ follower or not, really. Just that sense that something or someone is trying to drag you down. Pastor Erdos gets that.
He really does.
Yeah.
And this analogy he uses is quite striking. The only bird that actually dares to peck an eagle, it's the crow.
Yeah.
And it doesn't attack face to face. It lands on the eagle's back, starts biting its neck. But the eagle's reaction, this is the crucial part Pastor Erdos points out. The eagle doesn't fight back directly. It doesn't waste energy trying to shake the crow off. Nope. It just opens its wings and starts climbing.
Yeah, higher and higher.
And the result of that climb is kind of brilliant, actually. The higher the eagle flies, the thinner the air gets. And the crow, well, it just can't breathe up there. Eventually, it just falls off. Lack of oxygen.
Exactly. It's such a powerful picture, and Pastor Erdos connects it so vividly to our lives. He puts it this way. The crow may be along for the ride, but it's not meant for the destination. It's about keeping that enemy, whatever it is, at bay. How? By turning to the Father, by choosing to rise higher, not getting bogged down in the fight itself.
It makes me think of that verse, 2 Corinthians 2:11, so that we would not be outwitted by Satan, for we are not ignorant of his designs.
Yeah.
The eagle's wisdom here is in outwitting the crow, not overpowering it down low. It's about elevation.
Right. It's about changing the terms of engagement entirely. And this ties directly into the main theme Pastor Erdos is unpacking, finding that freedom and forgiveness by rising above these. He calls them snares of life. And he defines these snares really clearly. They're traps designed to keep you stuck in sin. But, and this is key, he emphasizes God's power is there to actually remove those snares. That's the hope.
Okay, so let's talk about those snares. With that eagle image in mind, he dives into the first one. It's something we all bump into, right? The trap of offense. Man, they can really dig in, drive wedges between people, even between us and God sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. And he uses a story we probably all know, Joseph, remember? Favorite son, coat of many colors, the dreams, and those jealous brothers. But Pastor Erdos focuses on how their offense, their jealousy, festered. It led them to throw Joseph into that pit. In Genesis 37, it says, the pit was empty, there was no water in it. Pastor Erdos uses that imagery, the pit of unforgiveness. It's empty, cold, dark, no living water, just desolate, not a place to live.
Right. And there's really practical piece of wisdom from Joseph's story, too, which Pastor Erdos highlights. Sometimes maybe it's best to keep what God shows you, kind of close to your chest. Let him reveal it when the time's right, because let's face it, as the sermon points out, some people don't have your best interests at heart. That's a tough one to swallow sometimes, but important.
Very important discernment there. And that pit image, it really resonates today, doesn't it, with what Pastor Erdos calls our throwaway culture. It feels easier sometimes to just discard relationships, cut people off, rather than do the hard work of forgiveness. It's easy to get snared in that, to let that offense, that crow, just sit there pecking away.
So this leads us right to the first key takeaway Pastor Erdos gives us. Key point 1. Reconciliation is the destination for God's people. You're not meant to stay stuck in that pit, right? We're called to walk in a spirit of constant forgiveness, karame. Now, he clarifies this doesn't mean being a doormat. It doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It's more about the posture of your heart. It's about freely giving the forgiveness we ourselves have received.
That distinction is so important. It's an internal posture, not external passivity. And it directly impacts our connection with God. That's where Matthew 6 comes in, verses 14 and 15. For if you forgive others their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. It's not like God's love is conditional, but maybe our ability to receive his forgiveness gets blocked when we're holding on to resentment, like trying to catch rain with closed fists.
Wow, yeah. Holding on to that offense really isolates you. And that isolation, well, it connects to the next snare Pastor Erdos talks about, the thing that often stops us even wanting to forgive or reconcile.
Pride. Ugh, this is a big one. A battle I think, well, pretty much everyone faces in some way. It's sneaky.
Oh, absolutely sneaky. Pastor Erdos describes pride as this force that kind of worms its way into your heart, and it starts to defile you. It leads to destruction, hardens your heart.
Mm.
Proverbs 16.18 nails it. Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. It blinds us. And the sermon connects it to some really serious consequences. Think about the Pharisees. Their pride, their self-righteousness, played a huge part in them rejecting Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Sending him to the cross. And those chilling words Jesus speaks in Matthew, "Depart from me, I do not know you." That's a stark warning about where unchecked pride can ultimately lead.
Yeah, it's sobering. And Pastor Erdos, he shared this really personal story to make it concrete. After he had hernia surgery, he talked about needing help with just basic stuff, like putting on his socks and shoes, just totally dependent. And it reminded him of helping someone else, a guy named Cliff, in a similar situation years before. It's profoundly humbling, he said, to be in that position of needing help for something so simple. A real encounter with vulnerability. There's a freedom in admitting that need.
That's such a vivid picture, isn't it? Something we take for granted every day. But when you can't do it, wow, it forces humility. It makes you rethink what strength even looks like. Pastor Erdos even threw out this playful challenge, remember? He said, talk to your wife. Next week, I'm going to put your socks and shoes on every day. And the week after, you do it for me. Simple.
Yeah.
Maybe sounds a bit silly, but what a practical way to practice humility right there at home.
Exactly. It's about embodying it. And this leads us straight into key point 2. Humility is an antidote to pride. Simple as that. Proverbs 29.23 backs this up. A man's pride will bring him low, but a humble spirit will obtain honor. Humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less, right? It's having a right perspective. And ironically, that's where true honor comes from.
And to really drive this home, the sermon uses the story of Naaman
Hmm.
from 2 Kings 5. Here's this guy, Naaman, a mighty man of valor, top general, powerful, respected, but he'd leprosy, which back then wasn't just a physical disease, it was deeply shameful. Made you an outcast. His status couldn't shield him from that.
Right, and his whole approach to getting healed was dripping with pride, wasn't it? He shows up with all this gold, silver, fancy clothes, basically trying to buy a miracle from the prophet Elisha. Like, it's a transaction, but Elisha doesn't even grant him an audience, just sends a servant out with this almost insulting instruction. Go wash in the Jordan River 7 times. Naaman was expecting, a big show, a wave of the hand, some dramatic prayer, not just go take a bath in a muddy river. He was furious.
Oh yeah, you can just picture his reaction. He basically says, seriously, I thought he'd come out, call on his God, wave his hand, and poof, leprosy gone. His pride, his idea of how God should operate, how healing should look, it almost cost him everything. He was stuck on his own expectations.
Totally stuck. But thankfully, his servants had some sense. They talked him down. They basically said, look, if the prophet asked you to do something difficult, wouldn't you have done it? So why not just do the simple thing he did ask? Wash and be clean. And Naaman finally swallows his pride, does the simple, humble thing, and boom, miraculous healing. Skin like a child's. It's such a great illustration of God's grace versus our attempts to earn it or complicate it or make it fit our proud ideas.
Okay, so we've tackled offense, we've tackled pride. The final snare Pastor Erdos unpacks is, well, it's a big one, the flesh. And he says this covers a lot of ground because it's not just one sin, it's like a whole operating system almost.
Pervasive.
Yeah, it's pervasive. And he gives some heavy biblical examples of people who got caught in this snare. Think about Judas. His lust wasn't maybe sexual, but for power or money, betraying Jesus for silver, or King Solomon. Wisest man ever, blessed beyond measure, but still fell into this unfulfilled lust of the flesh. Right. Hundreds of wives. Shows that wisdom and blessings alone aren't enough protection. He's disciplined. And this leads us straight to key point 3. Obedience to the flesh is separation from God. That's pretty blunt, uncompromising. It really underlines how serious this snare is. It's not a small detour, it's heading in the opposite direction.
It is blunt, yeah. And Romans chapter 8, verses 6 through 8 spells it out clearly. Pastor Erdos quoted this. For to set the mind on the flesh is death, but to set the mind on the spirit is life and peace. It continues, for the mind that is set on the flesh is hostile to God. It cannot submit to God's law. Those who are in the flesh cannot please God. Pastor Erdos summed it up. Fleshly desires can only please the flesh. Temporary fix, but leads to spiritual death, that separation.
And the go-to story here, the classic example, is King David and Bathsheba from 2 Samuel 11. Pastor Erdos points out something crucial. David was on the rooftop chilling when he should have been at war. He was out of place, vulnerable. And then he breaks down how that sin didn't just happen instantly. There was a progression.
Yeah, he dissected it really well. That first sight, Pastor Erdos said, is not sin, just noticing. That second glance, though, that's lust. That's the choice. That linger, that entertaining the thought, dwelling on it. That's where the snare tightens. And for David, that second glance spirals into adultery, then deception, then murder. And his heart gets hard. He loses touch with God's voice for a while. Shows how fast it escalates.
It's such a powerful contrast, isn't it, to Joseph again? When he was tempted by Potiphar's wife, Genesis 39, Joseph's reaction was immediate. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? He saw the vertical dimension right away. The sin wasn't just against Potiphar, it was against God.
That's such a key difference. And Pastor Erdos really brought this into today's world. He talked about maybe a lack of a healthy fear of God in our culture now, and how that contributes to problems like failing marriages. He was quite direct. Choosing to end a marriage because of fleshly desires, chasing something else, that's a direct sin against God. It's a strong callback to commitment, to seeing choices through that spiritual lens, not just what feels good now.
So what's the practical way out? How do we navigate this lure? Proverbs 4.25 gives some solid advice. Let your eyes look directly forward, and your gaze be straight before you. It sounds simple, but it's about focus. Guarding what you look at, what you dwell on. Intentionality.
Absolutely. And Paul's instruction in 2 Timothy 2.22 is even more direct. Pastor Erdos emphasized this. So flee youthful passions and pursue righteousness, faith, love, and peace, along with those who call on the Lord from a pure heart. The message was crystal clear. Flee from them. Don't play with it. Run from it. It's an act of retreat, recognizing the danger. Don't test yourself. Just run.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered these three big snares from Pastor Erdos' message. Offense, pride, and the flesh. And as he put it, they might seem small sometimes, right? Just a little resentment, a bit of ego, a fleeting desire. But they can act like an infection, harboring the enemy, holding way more power over us than we realize if we don't deal with them.
That's right. But the core message isn't about being trapped. It's about freedom. Pastor Erdos really emphasized this promise. Today, I feel like God wants to set us free from these snares used to trap us. And he anchored that hope in Zechariah 9.11, such a powerful verse. As for you also, because of the blood of my covenant with you, I will set your prisoners free from the waterless pit. Freedom from that empty place. That's the promise, real liberation.
So thinking about all this, identifying these snares, learning how to rise above like the eagle, here's something maybe to leave with you today. What specific crow might be picking at your neck right now? Is it offense? Is it pride keeping you stuck? Is it a battle with the flesh? And then thinking about Pastor Erdos' message, what's just one tangible step, maybe even a small one, you can take today to start flying a little higher, to embrace that freedom that's being offered?
Yeah, just reflect on that. How can you take these ancient, powerful truths and actually apply them right now, in your life, with your challenges? The wisdom's there, the freedom's offered.